Hello, I'm David Hester, and I am your teacher for this 8-week online course, Marriage and Family Relations. I'm certainly glad that you've decided to take this course. This video is going to be designed to introduce you to what we're going to be doing in this 8-week course. Now, it may be that some of you have never taken an online class before. Don't be terrified. I know that it can be intimidating to take something online with computers if you're not used to it, especially. But I promise you, it's not as painful as you fear it to be. In fact, it's pretty painless, to tell you the truth, once you get used to it. So those of you that are used to online classes and online learning, this won't be a problem for you. All you need to do is just know the details. And for all of us, I hope that this will answer the questions that you may have about what we're going to be trying to do this 8 weeks. So I'm going to assume, and I may be doing a lot of assumptions here, but I'm going to assume that you have actually watched or have actually gone to the Blackboard class site. If you haven't, I would encourage you to do that now. You can log in easily. As you're already been aware, I'm sure they have instructed you on how to log into your classes. Log into your class, the Marriage and Family online class on Blackboard, and I'm giving you time to do that while we speak. And that will give you access to the syllabus. And that's a very important thing because the syllabus is going to spell out the structure of what we're going to be doing this 8 weeks. And what I'm planning to do in the time that we have together on this recording is not only to go over the syllabus, I also want to go through the class site itself as we get to pertinent points along the way and explain to you how this works. We're going to be talking about the textbook, which I hope that you've gotten the textbook already. If you haven't, shame on you. No, seriously, you need the textbook. And we're going to be talking about the textbook that we're going to be using this 8 weeks. We're also going to be discussing the assignments. There are assignments in this class, if you haven't already noticed. If you've already been to the class site, you'll see that immediately. There are assignments to be completed. Are things to be done. And since we have a compressed time schedule, 8 weeks instead of the traditional 16-week semester, then it's very, very important that everything get turned in and that everything get turned in on time. So we're going to be going through all of that and trying to help you understand all of these things. And after you've watched this video, and I think by the time you have seen this, you probably have already received the email that I will have sent to the entire class. I want you to confirm to me that you have watched this video and that you've watched this video all the way through. I don't want you to start it and then stop it about a third of the way or half of the way or 3/4 of the way through. I want you to watch the entire video because I'm going to be saying things from the very start to the very end that have to do with this class. And along the way, I'm going to be inserting a few other comments about marriage and the family and the importance that I see that it has for you as a student, but not just for you as a student, for you as an individual, for you as a person, for you as a Christian, for you as a husband, a wife, a parent, a child. We're going to be addressing all of that in the time that we have. So I hope that I will make it entertaining, maybe make it a little bit fun. You're going to immediately see that I'm a little bit different as a teacher in that I've got a little bit of life in me. Well, there's a lot of teachers that got life, but still, what I mean is I'm passionate about what I teach, and I hope that it comes through. So we're going to be doing all that in the time that we have. So if you're at the Blackboard class site, I want you to go on the left-hand side of the screen where it says Marriage and Family Relations. There in the black, there's a black bar, sidebar, and it says Read Me First. When you open up the class site, that's where you'll go first. That you automatically go to the Read Me First page. All right, scroll down to Syllabus and Policies. Do you see that? It's about the fourth item down underneath Marriage and Family Relations. Click Syllabus and Policies. When that page opens up, and I have it opened up right in front of me on my computer screen, you'll see at the very top it says Syllabus. Click on the link that says Syllabus Online MF Module 1. Put your cursor, your mouse right there, and click it. And it will open up the syllabus. It will ask you if you want to download it. You'll say yes. You'll open it up, and voila, there's the syllabus. Syllabus Online MF Module 1, BI 3311. So, what I want to do is go through the syllabus with you and go through this class. And hopefully, I'll answer any and all questions that you possibly could ever have about this class. Everything you ever wanted to know about marriage and a family, and we're afraid to ask. Well, hopefully you're not afraid to ask it. But we will try to answer as best we can. All right, enough of that. Syllabus. Syllabus in front of you. I have it on my second screen because I'm a teacher and I have two screens. But anyway, on the second screen that I have on your screen, you have the syllabus opened. And it says course number and name, BI 3311, Marriage and Family Relations. Catalog description, a study of mate selection, how to have a successful marriage, and principles of parenting taught from the biblical perspective. Major sociological trends and problems that impact marriage and family relations in Western society will also be observed. You know, it's not really overkill to emphasize that this is taught from the biblical perspective. Now, that might be a shock to you. You're attending a Christian university, and by the way, we're teaching marriage and a family from a biblical perspective. Well, duh, of course. But you'll be surprised to know how many students that I've had in times past who will take this class and who will approach different assignments and different questions from a completely unbiblical perspective. And perhaps you've never thought of it seriously before, about what the Bible says about marriage and the family. Well, hopefully we're going to give you a little bit of insight in this 8-week time frame as to what the Bible does have to say, because it has a lot to say about marriage and the family. And if you believe, as I do firmly, that the Bible is the Word of God, then you'll see that the Bible is what we use to guide everything that we do. Now, let me pause right here and give you a little bit of information about myself. My name is David Hestra, as I've already told you. I am married, happily married to my wife, Brenda. We've been married since 1988. Yes, we have been married over 30 years, and it's been wonderful. We've had our difficult times economically. We've had difficult times in several ways, never once difficult enough to threaten our marriage. But you're going to have tough times in a marriage. It's not all a bed of roses. But having said that, it's when you have a relationship with the love of your life, it's the best thing you could possibly have aside from being a child of God. The second most important decision you can ever make in your life is who you're going to marry. And it impacts everything. Now, some of you might be fully aware of that. There are some that take this class that I've had over the years who have gone through a tragic situation in their marriages. Maybe it's because there's been a divorce. Maybe it's because there's been abuse of some sort. And those are tragic situations. And you're wanting to learn what you didn't know before about what God has to say about marriage. Well, the fact is, when we go by what God says concerning marriage and the home, it makes our homes better. It makes our families better. So, my wife and I have been married over 30 years. She's a retired speech pathologist with county school systems in Alabama and also Tennessee. And I've been preaching the gospel of Christ since 1978. No, I didn't start preaching when I was 2. I've been preaching since I was 13. Not long after I obeyed the gospel, I began to preach. Now, I'll give you a little bit of background about me. My dad was a gospel preacher for over 50 years before he passed away. And by the way, he and my mom were married over 50 years prior to his passing in 2012. He died at the end of 2012. And so they were married over 50 years. He had preached over 50 years. And then my grandfather, who is married to my grandmother on my dad's side over 50 years, was also a gospel preacher for over 40 years before he passed away in 1982. I also have other family members, my uncles, one of whom is still living, my youngest uncle still living, And all of my uncles and my dad's brothers, all of them preached. Guy was my oldest uncle. Giles was the next one below my dad in age. And then Johnny. All three of them preached along with my dad. And all of them had marriages that lasted 40 to 50 years. Do you see a pattern here? uh, I saw marriages, successful marriages, and they didn't all have their fine and wonderful times. There were difficulties, but they stuck it through and they loved each other. And so I had that example in front of me. Not everybody has those examples. I understand that. But if you didn't have those examples in front of you, if you haven't seen that in your own home, but yet you want to make a home, there's good news. You can start a new and far better trend in your family. You can start the trend of showing what a marriage can be. And it's because of what God has said in His Word. You can do it. And this class, I hope, will help you to that end. So, I come from a family of preachers. I've been a preacher. My oldest son, is a gospel preacher. He began preaching not too many years ago. He's married, been married to his wife, Sarah, since 2016. This is Will we're talking about, Will Hester. They have a son, Lance, who was born in 2018, and they're just doing great. He's preaching up in Fulton, Kentucky at the Parkway Church of Christ. Then our youngest son, Jonathan, is one of the policy advisors to Alabama Governor Kay Ivey. And he is married to Bree, who is from Mississippi. They got married this year, 2019. I was privileged, by the way, to perform both of my sons' marriages, do the ceremony for both of them. And they both got great marriages. Jonathan and Bree live in Birmingham. He commutes every day during the week down here to Montgomery, so his mama gets to see him a lot, and I get to see him and talk to him a lot. That is Jonathan. And so anyway, it's when you have a good family, it's a blessing. It is a tremendous blessing. And you can have the same experience. What I'm telling you is you can have the same experience if you follow the principles that God has set forth in His Word, that you practice them, and that you teach them. That's what we're going to try to do in this class in the short time that we have together, is to make you see this. So as we're looking at the syllabus, we put our attention back on it, you see the catalog description. And that's what we're going to try to do in the short time frame that we have together. So 3-hour credit is how many hours it is on this course. Then go to page 2 of the syllabus. The purpose of the course. It is to acquaint the student with what the Bible teaches regarding the origin and purpose of marriage, and to study current research that will help the student prepare for a successful marriage. Now, the textbook, of which we'll talk of here in a few minutes, the textbook is going to provide the information on current research and current studies. And so that will be on that side of the equation. I will be providing material from the biblical side of the equation that you will be going through and doing assignments for. The structure of the course, Roman numeral number 2 on page 2. Since this is an 8-week online course, it is structured differently from a regular face-to-face full semester class. All of the assignments will be posted on the Blackboard class site, and all communication by the lecturer, that's me, will be via email. Did you catch that? All communication will be done via email. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you do not have your Faulkner email account up and running, do it now. And if you don't know how to get your Faulkner email up and running, contact Montgomery campus. Contact EFC and ask them, how do I get my Faulkner email up? Because all communication that I do to you as students is going to be through your Faulkner email. I will not communicate you through any other email account. So if you send me an email from a Google account, or if you send me email from NetZero account, or from MSN, or whatever email server, if it's not Faulkner.edu, then guess what? I'm not going to be responding to it, because I do not respond to emails from students in my classes that is not through official Faulkner email. All communication is done through Faulkner email. Be sure that you've got that up and running and that you can receive my emails. That's so important. And I'm going to be emphasizing that. It's emphasized on the Read Me First page. It's going to be emphasized in the email that I've already sent you, and it's emphasized right now. So make sure you get that done. Now, back to the structure of the course paragraph. The student is expected to keep up with his or her assignments and to turn them in on time. Notice that. You are responsible for your assignments. You are responsible to turn them in on time. Now, why is that important? Because this is an 8-week class, it's vital that you turn in the assignments before the due date or on the due date for that particular assignment. If you turn in assignments late, there will be points counted off. That really comes into play concerning the discussion board, of which we'll talk about more shortly. But on the assignments that we're going to be going over, you must send in those assignments on time. If you want to send in your assignments early, turn them in, that is, turn them in. You turn them in, the assignments, through the Blackboard class site. If you want to turn in your assignments early, that is fantastic. That's great. In fact, that'll help you, it'll help me, it'll help everybody concerned. But if you wait until the very end of the 8 weeks to all of a sudden turn everything in, you're not going to get full credit for all those assignments. That's just the way it works. And by the way, if you wait until after the 8 weeks is over, and you say, "Oh, I've had some difficulties and some issues," and no, Now, you may have legitimate issues and legitimate things going on. That's fine. But for this class, for this 8 weeks, if you don't have it in by the end of the 8 weeks, I will not accept it. That's across the board, okay? I just want to make clear from the very outset, anything turned in after the cutoff date of the 8 weeks at the end will not be accepted. So just make sure you get that in your mind. So if I hear from some of you who have said that you've watched this video and all of a sudden you say, "Can I have extra time?" I'm telling you, no. You've got from now to the end of the 8 weeks to get things turned in. And even then, you've got due dates. And if you wait till after those due dates, you won't get full credit. There will be points taken off. We'll say more about that here in a minute. I'm trying to be as kind as I can, but I'm being direct with you, being open with you about it, so you'll know what we're dealing with, okay? All right, so look, discussion board questions are designed to facilitate discussion between the students. Now, you go to the Blackboard class site, you look at discussion board, you click onto discussion board, and right now you'll see no items are found, okay? Well, don't panic, because we'll talk more about the discussion board here in a little bit. The discussion board questions will be posted periodically. So keep that in your head, and we'll come back to it. So that's what the discussion board questions are designed to do, is for discussion between the students, and you also get graded for what you post. The 3 to 5 page essay. Oh yes, there is an essay. The 3 to 5 page essay is not a research paper. It's not a research paper. It's not a research paper. Why am I emphasizing that it's not a research paper? Because it's not a research paper. No, it's an essay. It's an opinion essay on what it takes to be a good spouse. I want to know what you think. You're not doing research as you would for a research paper. That should be a good thing. That should be welcome news to you. But you will be amazed at how people take this as a research paper. It's not. It's an essay. I just want your opinion. It's at least 3 pages. Notice that, please. At least 3 pages. If it's less than 3 pages, you won't get full credit. 3 at least to 5. Now, if you go over 5 pages a little bit, that's fine. If you go 10, that's a little much. But I would like to keep it within the 3 to 5 page limit. We'll say more about that essay assignment here in a little bit. It is to get the student, you, to think through the question of what it takes to be a good spouse, and also to help the student express his or her thoughts in a grammatically correct, clear manner. Notice, please, grammatically correct. It's very important. If you need somebody to proofread your essay before you turn it in, by all means, please do so. Don't rely on spell check on Word. Please do not rely on spell check in Word. It will not catch all the grammatical errors. I'm just telling you that. We'll say more about that here in a little bit, but just be aware right here, right now, that it's going to be graded in part on grammar. Okay, course objectives. To demonstrate an appreciation of the Bible as God's blueprint for marriage. This will be evaluated by the online questions covering selected biblical passages. Now, what do I mean by online questions? Well, go to the Blackboard class site. Again, look on the left-hand side of the screen where it says course content. Do you see that? Click on course content, and you'll see a list of reading questions. Now, those cover the textbook that we're going to be talking about here in a minute. You scroll on down. There's 17 reading question documents there. Underneath chapter 17 reading questions, there is what's called biblical text questions. See that? Biblical text questions. And the attached file says biblical text study questions. Don't let that throw you. This is biblical text questions. This covers passages, selected passages from the Old Testament and the New Testament. You will be graded over the answers you give to those questions. You will have to answer those questions, all of them. There's, I think, 100 total. And you will, or I think there's 100 questions total. And then you will turn that in the appropriate place under assignments. So that is the online questions covering selected biblical passages. That also covers point B under course objectives. To identify the meaning of and purpose of marriage according to the Bible, this will be evaluated by the online questions covering selected biblical passages. Again, this is the biblical text questions that we're talking about. Point C, to articulate attitudes and attributes that will make one more mature and marriageable. This will be evaluated by the 3 to 5 page essay and the discussion board questions. Now, underneath course content, you're still on the course content page, you will see underneath biblical text questions what's called essay rubric. Do you see that? Essay rubric. Click that link. It will open up a document, essay rubric. When it opens, and it's opening up as we speak on my computer, you will see a grid. This grid has on the left-hand side criteria, and then levels of achievement: novice, competent, and proficient. You see that? All right. The grading of the essay is basically split into 3 areas: formatting, organization, and grammar. Under formatting, what do I require for you to have 100% credit? Double-spaced, 12 font, Times New Roman, 3 to 5 pages in length. You see that? Double-spaced, 12 font, Times New Roman, 3 to 5 pages in length. I would add to that left-hand margin. I don't have that in here, but I think it's understood. It'd be a regular paper, it would be left-hand margin, right? So if you don't have the double spaced, if you don't have the 3 to 5 pages in length, if you don't have the 12 font, If you don't have the Times New Roman, you'll be counted off. So, organization. Under organization, 100% credit would be addressing the question, what does it take to be a good spouse? Giving both sides of the question. Well, what I'm asking you to do is present one or both perspectives. In other words, if you want to address what it takes to be a good spouse from the wife's perspective, that's fine. Even if you're a guy, if you want to address it from the wife's perspective, you can do that. If you're a girl and you want to address what it takes to be a good spouse from the husband's perspective, you can do that. Or if you just want to address it from your own gender, that's fine. If you want to address it on both sides, that's fine, as long as you address the question. So that giving both sides, that normally does apply in papers, it doesn't as much apply in this. Giving your opinion concerning the question, that's a big one. I want to know what you think. What you think. Okay? Now, this is not just to satisfy me in this assignment. This paper, this essay, is as much for your benefit for the future as it is for this class. Here's what I mean. You write this paper, you turn it in, you've got it saved on your computer, okay? 10 to 15 years down the road, things change in your life. You meet a person, if you already haven't. You get married. You're married for 5, 10, 15 years. You can then, at that point in your life, go back to your paper that you wrote for this class, what it takes to be a good spouse. Read that paper again from the perspective of you as an older individual, married, and see how much it lines up. You'll be fascinated by it. You'll be fascinated by how much you've learned, how much you got wrong, how much you got right. It's for your benefit, you see? It's something that it's a neat exercise, and it's something that you can have on hand down the road when you've got some experience and you've got this marriage going, okay? So it's really for you as much as it is for anything else. So that's organization. Grammar. Oh, yes. Don't say that I'm a grammar Nazi. Please do not do that. I love English. I love the English language. But notice, for 100% credit on grammar, no persistent spelling errors or grammar errors. Yes, I do go over every paper in detail. So I will notice if there are misspelled words. I will notice if there are persistent grammatical errors. Number 2, no run-on sentences or sentence fragments. I'm going to assume, since you're a college student, you've been around the block for a while, you've taken English courses, I'm going to assume that you know what a run-on sentence is. And I'm going to assume that you know what a sentence fragment is. If you have either one of those in your paper, each of those, either run-on sentence or sentence fragments, is an automatic 10-point deduction. Automatic, no questions asked. It is a major, major error. Run-on sentences, sentence fragments, major error. Make sure you don't have that in your paper. Now, persistent grammar errors, what do I mean by that? Perhaps the most consistent grammatical error that I see in papers that are turned into me is the lack of noun-pronoun agreement. What do I mean? What I mean is you have in your sentence, say, a singular noun. And in the pronoun that refers back to it, it is a plural pronoun. Let's see if I can give you an example. A spouse must make sure that they have the right attitude. Do you see the error? A spouse, that's your subject, singular, must make sure that they, that's a plural pronoun, have the right attitude, period. No, it's a spouse must make sure that either he or she has the right attitude. Now, it's your choice whether or not you're going to use a male or female pronoun. And yes, I know about the discussion about gender neutral pronouns. In this class, we don't use gender neutral pronouns in our papers. That's no judgment being cast upon gender neutral pronouns. Please don't misunderstand. I'm talking about strict English correction, strict grammatical correction. We don't allow gender neutral pronouns and we don't allow plural pronouns to refer to a single individual or vice versa. Singular pronouns refer to a plural noun. Do you see what I'm stressing? If you watch this video, if you see this, you'll know I'm going to count off. If you have a noun pronoun disagreement that is consistent, that's persistent, if you have one or maybe two, that's no big deal. But if you go through a 3 to 5 page paper and on every page and every paragraph you've got noun pronoun disagreement and you've got it maybe multiple times in a single paragraph, that's a major problem. So what I'm saying is make sure those kind of errors get corrected. If it takes going back to your high school grammar teacher and having he or she to review your paper, do it. Your mom and dad, if they were good in English grammar, have them refer or review it. If your brother or sister is good, do that. Best friend is an English major that's proficient in grammar. Have that person do it. Have somebody, if you're not certain, if you're not 100% confident in your grammar, have somebody that knows to review it, to look over it, and tell you what needs to be corrected. Let me tell you something. It's easy. I'm telling you this up front. It's easy to get an A on this essay if you follow the rubric. And if you understand what I'm telling you in this video, you can do it. You can make an A on this essay. I know there are those of you in this class that aren't confident writers, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. This is in part to give you confidence, to give you the confidence because you're going to be in classes at Faulkner, and if you go anywhere else for graduate school, and hopefully you'll go to graduate school here at Faulkner, but you're going to have to write papers, whether it's research or essays, and you will be graded on grammar. And I'm trying to help you on this. And maybe the comments that I make, because when I grade it online and I insert comments. I will highlight the error and I will insert a comment telling you the correction. Hopefully you won't have any of those in your paper, but if you do, I urge you to look at those highlighted comments that I have because it will explain my reasoning for counting off or for correcting it. But I guarantee you, it's going to be one of these errors that we talked about. So make sure that it's as close to 100% error-free, grammatically correct as it possibly can get. So if you follow that rubric, and if you follow my instructions here, you will do fine on your paper. I guarantee it. And I'm not even from Louisiana. All right, let's look at this. Point D. Objective, to consider the importance of building a marriage relationship on love and integrity. This will be evaluated by the online questions covering the textbook by Nick and Nancy Stennett. Now, again, look at your Blackboard class site. You will see these chapter reading questions. There are 17 total, chapters 1 through 17. You see them, don't you? Chapter reading questions, they're in Word format. They cover the material in this book: intimate relationships, marriages, and families. Nick and Nancy Stennett co-wrote this book along with Mary Kay DeGeneva and F. Philip Rice. These reading questions are important because they add up. We're going to be coming back to this here shortly, but that will be how we evaluate the importance of building a marriage relationship on love and integrity. Point E, to integrate strategies that lead to strong marriages. This will be examined by the final exam. I will say more about the final exam in a few minutes. I'm going to delay talking about that for the time being. Let's go through the syllabus. Course premise, philosophy, and methodology. Marriage is God's idea. He has provided us His plan for successful marriage in His Word. Our primary emphasis in this course will be to better understand God's plan and how that plan translates into daily life. Deciding whom to marry and when to marry have eternal ramifications. So all of us in this class should give proper priority to our study together. As I've said earlier, the second most important decision you'll ever make in your life is deciding who you're going to marry, because that will impact your life on down the road. You've got to make the right decision. You've got to make a wise choice based upon the Word of God. The most important decision you'll ever make in your life is becoming a Christian. And that's becoming a Christian based on what the New Testament says, not on what some denomination teaches you, not on what some man says, what the Bible says. Have you obeyed the gospel the way the Bible teaches it, through belief in Jesus, turning from sin and repentance, confessing your faith in Christ as the risen Lord, and being baptized for the forgiveness of sins? That's what the New Testament teaches what one must do to be saved. Jesus says in Mark 16:16, he who believes and is baptized shall be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned. He says we must be born of water and the Spirit, John 3:5. Baptism is part of the plan of God. It's not the only thing we do, but it's essential. We contact the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, Romans 6:3-5. So, when we've obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine, Romans 6:17, we are then made free from sin, Romans 6:18, and we become servants of righteousness. That's the most important decision you'll ever make in your life, is obeying the gospel, being a part of Christ's church, for which He died, His body, over which He is the head. But the second most important decision is who you marry. And so that's the reason why this course is so important, is because we want to help you to that end. Now, notice, etiquette expectations. Because this is an online course, there are certain guidelines that must be followed at any email or discussion board communication. And I've given the URL address, the Faulkner Standard Netiquette Policy. I also have it posted in an appropriate place on the Blackboard class site. Course policies, the eCampus policies, the links to them are in your syllabus, and it's also on the class website. Integrity, attendance, online grievance, online incomplete, and online technical requirements. All of that included in the Blackboard class site and the links given here in the syllabus. Content outline. Point 6. Preparation for marriage. God's plan, selection of a mate, what the Bible says about sex, sexual relations in marriage, and the best available research concepts on marriage success. Let me tell you something. This textbook talks about sex in a frank way. If you have not been exposed to frank conversations about sex, I don't want you to be shocked. I don't want you to be shocked about what they discuss in here. But in order to have a frank and open conversation about sex and marriage, we've got to see what the world says about it. What the world says is acceptable. And sometimes that can be very difficult. It can be very what's the word I'm trying to say? Very awkward, perhaps. But you've got to have the discussion. Because the Bible itself is frank about sex, is it not? Look at Romans chapter 1. The Apostle Paul talks about the sins of the Gentiles, and what is one of the things he highlights in Romans 1? Homosexuality and lesbianism. Why? He's talking about how all the Gentile world is turned against God. And he's given examples, not just that, but many other examples there in chapter 1. But he talks about that. It also mentions in the Bible, Hebrews 13:4, marriage is honorable above all, and the bed undefiled. What is he saying? He's saying that the intimate relationship between husband and wife is as God would have it. And it's clean. It's pure. Isn't that what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7 when he says that the wife should not hold back from the husband, or the husband hold back from the wife, but give the partner due benevolence? In other words, you don't have power over your own body. Your mate has it. In other words, you can't say, well, I just don't feel like it. I'm going to go to sleep tonight. I'm going to withhold from him because he didn't treat me right today. No. You have no right to do that. Or as a husband, I've had a rough day at work, I just got so much on my mind, and I just don't feel. No, if your mate wants you to have intimate relationship, he has that right, according to the Bible. The Bible is clear about the intimate relationship between husband and wife. Read Song of Solomon. That's one of the passages that we're dealing with in biblical text questions. Song of Solomon is very, very frank. It's one of the best marriage counseling manuals you'll ever read in your life. It's Song of Solomon. But we're talking about that in this class. The textbook deals with it. So don't be shocked when you get to that section when you're going through your reading questions. Okay, resources. Required textbooks, obviously the Bible. The Bible, number one textbook that we've got for this class. Because what God says is the standard. What man says doesn't matter as much. What God says is the standard. But the textbook, the academic textbook that we use, again, Intimate Relationships, Marriages, and Families by Nick and Nancy Stennett, Mary Kay DeGeneva, F. Philip Rice. It was published in 2017. This is the 9th edition. Notice, please, the 9th edition. The ISBN number for this book is included in the syllabus. And in the email that I will be sending you, the ISBN number will be included there. So you will be able to order the book. It's the 9th edition, not earlier editions, please. The 9th edition. All right. I have suggested resources there, research help, ask a librarian, reference assistance. All right, page number 2. Is this page number? No, page number 4. Sorry, page number 4 on your syllabus. Page number 4. Course requirements and evaluation. Now, we've already gone over some of this. We'll be going over some of it again. Online questions included be questions covering the textbook and selected biblical passages that pertain to marriage. We've already pointed you to those. This will not be a test. It is open book to ensure the students are reading the material. Now you understand the rationale. I want you to read the textbook. I want you to read the biblical passages. To do this assignment correctly, you're going to have to read the material. In order to receive an A for this assignment, the student must answer correctly 90% of the questions. 2, essay. A 3 to 5 page, double-spaced essay, we've already gone over the rubric, on the topic, what does it take to be a good spouse? In order to receive an A for this assignment, the student must meet the requirements of the rubric that is posted on the Blackboard class site under course content. Again, you know now where that's located. Number 3, discussion board. There will be 4 questions posted during the 8 weeks. Students are required to answer them and engage in discussion via this method. In order to make an A on this assignment, the student must respond in a 6 to 8 sentence paragraph to each question and reply to at least 3 fellow students in each thread. 1 sentence post will not be sufficient. You've got to have 6 to 8 sentences in your post. Now, let me explain further about the discussion board. In this first week of class, I will be posting a discussion board that asks you to post something about yourself, what you expect out of this class, and about your background leading up to this class. That will not be a graded assignment, but you must answer that initial discussion board question to be counted as present in class and not absent. Does that make sense? You've got to respond to that first discussion board question to be counted present. Online classes go a little bit differently on attendance than regular classes. You've got to complete in the first 7 days 1 assignment of some sort to be counted as present, okay? So that means that first discussion board question about posting something about yourself, what you expect out of this class, you must answer it or you're going to be counted absent that first 7 days. So make sure you fill that out. Now, beginning that second week, there will be a discussion board question posted every, say, Sunday night or early Monday morning of that week. You will have until that Friday at 5 o'clock to respond to that discussion board question and respond to your fellow students to receive full credit. If you wait until after that Friday of that week the discussion board question is posted, there will be an automatic 5-point deduction. If you continue to wait to post a response to that discussion board question, the more weeks you wait, the more points will be taken off. You see what I'm saying? So if you wait until the very end of the 8 weeks to respond to all 4 discussion board questions, guess what? You're not going to receive a lot of credit. So when the discussion board question is posted, beginning with the 2nd week of the term, when the discussion board question is posted, you'll have until Friday of that week to receive full credit for posting a reply. I'm just making that very clear to you, okay? Make sure you get those discussion board questions answered and posted on time. Okay. Final exam. This exam will cover specified questions from PowerPoint material of me. The format will include true, false, and multiple choice items. In order to make an A, you must answer correctly 90% of the questions. Now, you're on the Blackboard class site still, I assume. Scroll down on that class site, and you'll see underneath essay rubric, you'll see 3 items. Does your home abide in the doctrine of Christ? The Bible in the home? And what have they seen in thine house? Those are all PowerPoint sermons that I have preached and continue to preach in gospel meetings, in different venues. Those 3 PowerPoint sermons will serve as the basis for the final exam. It will be open notes. Good, yeah, of course. Open notes. That is, you can look at the PowerPoint presentations to get your answers to the questions. Now, next question is, when will you get the final exam? I will answer that shortly. Keep that in your head. Course grading. Determination of the final grade will be based on the final exam, online questions, essay, and discussion board. Now, on the Grade Center, I do not have available for you total points because that's not how I go about computing the final grade. Total points that you made, that's not the basis. The basis is different from that, so just don't ask. One of the assignments in particular is not total points. So anyway, the percentage is the important thing. 90 to 100A, 80 to 89B, 70 to 79C, 60 to 69D. I expect everybody to make an A in this class. I mean, you can. There's no doubt that you can. But I expect that. All right. I've got unit level weekly objectives. Week 1, that's this week. Identify what you expect from this course by replying to the discussion board. Also tell us something about yourself. Again, that's very important because it will count on your attendance for the first 7 days. Make sure you respond to it. Week 2, analyze how society views marriage by responding to the first discussion board question. That would be posted at the beginning of that week, due at that Friday of that week. That also counts on your attendance too for the first 14 days. So make sure you get that turned in. Week 3, explain how Hollywood's view on marriage is different from the biblical standard by replying to the second discussion board question. And I also say you can begin working your essay, continue working your essay. That's suggestions to you about how to manage your time. I know you got a lot on your plate with all the other classes that you have. With this class, I'm just giving you helpful hints along with telling you when the assignments are due by telling you how to space things out here. Week 4, anticipate what problems you foresee in the future for marriage by answering the third discussion board question. Continue working the essay and online questions. Week 5, describe the ideal marriage by responding to the final discussion board question. I'm not asking for the perfect marriage. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not asking for the perfect marriage. I'm asking what is an ideal marriage. An ideal marriage can be had. A perfect marriage with no problems whatsoever doesn't exist. So I don't want you to even address in your essay anything about a perfect, or your discussion board, anything about a perfect marriage. That's not what I'm asking. Please. What is an ideal marriage? That's what we want. Ideal marriages have problems, but they overcome those problems. See the point? All right. So, if you haven't already finished your essay and online questions, make sure you get them finished by this point so it won't be swamped at the end of the module. Start preparing for final exam, perhaps. Week 6. Develop the qualities of what an ideal spouse should have by turning in the finished essay, which is due this week, week 6. When you turn in that essay by the designated date, that will also count as your attendance for that week. You see the trend here? Every time you turn in a discussion board question, every time you turn in an assignment, that counts for your attendance in the class. Week 7, demonstrate your understanding of the textbook by turning in the answers to the online questions. And by the way, you can turn in your online questions way before the due date, way before the deadline. Now, let me head off a question at the pass. There are no weekly assignments due except for the discussion board questions. That is to say, the online questions are not due every week. You hear me? They're due by the due date that we're going to be looking at here in a moment. But you can turn in your online questions at any point before that due date. It'd be good for you and your time management. And be also good for me because I can get it graded quickly. So, that's what I'm saying. Week 7. Demonstrate your understanding of the textbook by turning the answers to the online questions, which is due this week. Week 8, summarize what the Bible has to say about marriage and family by turning in answers to the final exam, which is due this week. You still have a question about the final exam, right? We're getting to that. All right, course calendar. Notice, please, this point 11 on page 5. Since this is an online 8-week course, the deadlines are different from the traditional semester course. Thus, it is even more imperative that you take responsibility to turn in all work on time. Notice that's capitalized. I'm emphasizing it again. There are no weekly due dates except for the discussion board questions, as I've already emphasized. All other work is due by the date specified below. You may turn in your work, though, at any point before the due dates. You can turn in your essay early. You can turn in your questions early. All of that can be turned in early. The only thing that you can't do early is the discussion board because that is week specified. Okay. All work is to be submitted through Blackboard under the assignments section. I will not accept any assignments by email. None. Don't think about turning it in by email. Now, let me add another point here. Sometimes I have students that will turn in assignments through Pages. Do not use Pages to turn in your assignments. Now, why do I say that? Because the computer that I have here in my office at Faulkner cannot open Pages documents. So just know this up front. Do not turn in your assignments via Pages. Please, please, please either use Word, I prefer that, or you can type your answers directly into the Blackboard site. You can do that. You can answer your questions. You can do your assignments directly in if you have to do that. I prefer, though, for you to use Word document. But please, please, please do not turn it in through another format. Now, if you want to use PDF, that's fine too, because I can easily open that. But Pages, no. I've had too many experiences with that. So do not use Pages, okay? All right. If you have issues, contact me by email. And what I will do, if you have a technical issue, I will direct you over first to Will Freeman, who is our designated tech guy here at the College of Biblical Studies. He will normally be able to help you through any problem that's not complicated. He can help you through how to set up your email. He can help you about how to turn in your assignments, things of that nature. If it's something more complicated than that, we can then direct you to EFC, and they can be more than happy to help you out in getting everything as it should be. All right, now, dates. Here's the due dates. September 27th, which is not that far away when you think about it. On September 27th, the essay is due by 5 o'clock. That's Friday, September 27th. Let me look at my calendar, make sure I got that date right, but I think I do. Yes, September 27th is on a Friday. So, September 27th at 5 o'clock, the essay is due. October 4th, the answers to the online questions are due by 5 o'clock. That's the next Friday. October 4th, answers to online questions due by 5 o'clock. The following Friday, October 11th, the final exam is due by 5 o'clock. Now, notice in parentheses, very, very important point, okay? The final exam will be emailed to you a week ahead of the due date. It will be open notes. Now, if I receive an email from you saying, Dr. Hester, I don't see the final exam anywhere, and you've told me that you've watched the video, I'll know either A, you didn't watch the video, or B, you didn't pay attention. I will send the final exam by email attachment through Faulkner email. Okay? And I make sure I send it to the entire class. So that's how you get the final exam, a week ahead of the due date, which means on October 4th, the same day the online questions are due. That's both the biblical questions and the textbook questions, all of those questions due on the same day. On that same day, October 4th, I will send you the final exam by email attachment through Faulkner email. So if you have a question about that time, I haven't seen the final exam. Yeah, it's there. Check your email. That's how it's sent to you. You turn it in through the Blackboard class site. And I have my lecturer contact information at the end of the syllabus, my phone number here at the office, and my email address. So, all right, let me do something else. One more thing before we conclude on this video. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, yes, on assignments. Go back into your Blackboard class site, look at the left-hand side again, and see under course content it says assignments. Click onto that. You will see, once you open it up, assignments, biblical passage questions, essay on how to be a good spouse, final exam, and then chapters 1 through 17 reading questions. Each assignment corresponds with that particular place. So if you've done chapter 1 reading questions, you submit it under chapter 1 reading questions. Chapter 2, same thing. Chapter 3, same thing. 4, 5, on through 17. Each chapter corresponds with that particular assignment section. Now, if you make a mistake posting at the wrong place, let me know by email, and I will go in and clear that attempt so you can resubmit it. I don't have any problem at all doing that whatsoever. If you have an issue, please let me know, and I will try to help you through it. And if I can't, Will Freeman can, and if he can't, EFC can help you through it. Same thing with biblical passage questions, essay, and final exam. Once you complete those assignments, turn it in at the respective place. And that's it. You see? You see how easy this is? This is a piece of cake. I know you're still jittery. I know you're still nervous, perhaps. And there's nothing wrong with being jittery and nervous about an online class. But I guarantee you'll do fine. Just follow my instructions. Give heed to what I've said here in this video. Pay attention to my emails. Pay attention to the syllabus. Do what I ask, and you'll be fine. I want to help you in your search for your ideal mate. And if you're already married, I want to help you in your marriage to make it better. And if you've had a failed marriage, I want to give you hope that there are better days ahead. So I hope that all of these things can be addressed in this 8 weeks. And if you want to contact me, the best way, the very best way to contact me is by email. Because I guarantee you, I check my email all the time, to my wife's chagrin sometimes. But she knows that I've got to keep in touch with my students when the semester's going on. So I periodically will check my email. So if you email me, I will immediately respond to you. I won't delay. I won't wait a week or two or whatever. I can't because of the nature of this class, number one. But number two, that's not how I do things. If I receive an email that day, I'll respond to it within the hour when I receive it, when I see it. So make sure you do that. And I will be as cordial and as polite to you as I possibly can. I won't snap at you. I won't be mean to you. Uh, I will do my best to answer your questions as thoroughly and as patiently as I possibly can. This is going to be great. This is going to be a great 8 weeks, and I hope that you'll have as much fun as I'm having. And I hope that comes across to you. And if you are on campus in Montgomery, then please come by my office. And if I'm not here, let the girls know out in the lobby, and they will certainly let me know that you've come by. If you see me around campus, feel free to say something to me, and I'll be more than happy to stop and talk to you for a few minutes. All right. Well, listen, I'm glad you're with us, and I hope you have a great 8 weeks. And again, any questions you have, let me know. Thank you much, and we'll see you.